for coming to participate in this year's Strategic Community Investment Fund workshop. Our Strategic Community Investment Fund is the fund by which we offer our competitive grants here at Housing and Community Development. And so today, we will be going over the FY25 programs. As you know, our funding runs on, our rounds run on our fiscal year. So this will be from July 1st, 2024 to June the 30th, 2025. So these programs we'll be covering today will go over FY25 programs, the anticipated funding, our submission process. We will introduce our new online portal. Some of our colleagues here will talk about that in a little bit, but I do want to take this opportunity to strongly encourage you to participate in our neighborly portal trainings when they are made available, because it will help you a lot in your submission. And then today we also will, following this session this morning and some general Q&A, we will do our breakout sessions where each of the programs will be available to answer your specific questions as they relate to their respective programs. For today's workshop, our purpose is to provide you with an overview of this year's funding opportunities and how much that we anticipate funding in each one of those respective program areas. As we say every year, our funding is contingent upon our federal allocations. And so at this point, they are projected amounts. We will review our guidelines and our requirements for each of the programs. Again, discuss the electronic submission process, have a discussion with program experts during the breakout session, and discuss the training for the electronic portal. Today's presentation will be online. We are doing a videotape of it. That video recording will be on our website along with today's presentation, PowerPoint presentation. So after, probably later on this afternoon, you can check back by the end of the day to get all of these things in the event that you need to go back to them. But just to kind of to go over our timeline, I'm sorry. This, as I said, is for FY25 funding. Our fiscal year runs July the 1st to June the 30th. This is a competitive funding process. And so each application will be reviewed and scored, and it will be funded based on scoring. Application and the selection process, we wanted to make sure it's consistent and clear. We also look for available projects benefiting low to moderate income persons. The priorities of your and mission of your project or program that you're proposing must be aligned with our consolidated plan and our overall priorities and goals. Again, all of our documents are on our website, so if you're not familiar with our consolidated plan, please go and download it. Make sure that your application is aligned with those goals and priorities. All of the threshold requirements must be met. Within the application, everywhere that you see a note saying this is a threshold item, or you see an asterisk meaning stating that or meaning that this is a threshold item, all those threshold items must be met. If in the internal review process it's not met, it would not be advanced. Your application would not be advanced to the external review committee. Any deficient application would not be advanced for review. I also want to make a note that all of our grant funds are on a cash reimbursement basis, meaning that you have to perform the work, you then submit your invoice, and then you are reimbursed for it. So being able to cash flow your program or your project is essential. So we want to stress you understand that. And then we also have City of Memphis insurance requirements. One of our colleagues from the compliance department would go over that. This is another key point in our application process and a requirement to receive grant funds from the City of Memphis. And so if you have any questions about that, definitely ask my fellow colleagues that are representing the programs today. They'll go over these things over and over, because we have found that this is one of the main things that a lot of times will delay the contracting process. So we want to make sure before you submit, or during the time, by the time you definitely submit your application, you clearly understand the insurance requirements, because when you get to the award process and going through negotiations, your contract cannot even be advanced until these things are solidified. And funds are awarded to eligible nonprofits for community development and service programs, and applications must have a minimum score of 75 to be considered. So again, as I stated earlier, this is a competitive funding process. Your application must meet a minimum of 75 to even get an award, but we do award based on the highest score, and then moves backwards for as long as funds are available. And I will turn it over, I'm sorry. Okay, not turn it over yet. So for FY25, our anticipated forecast for Emergency Solutions Grant is $560,000. For HOPWA, which is our Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, $3 million. For Home TBRA, $600,000. And for the Office of Neighborhood Engagement, for our Neighborhood Partnership Grant, $200,000. Again, these amounts are estimated based on our fiscal entitlement allocations that we normally find out about, early winter. The timeline is as follows. Today, as of 8:00 a.m., the applications are open and can be submitted online. All of the applications must be submitted through our online portal. We do not accept emails. We do not accept deliveries of any kind. At the time, so everything must be submitted online, and we are having the workshop as of now. Online portal for training. This year we do have a new portal. We will provide you 2 opportunities to participate in the trainings. These will be virtual trainings. They will be exactly the same. So today, before you leave, if possible, sign up for one of them. Applications close on February the 2nd at 4:00 p.m. Not 4:01, at 4:00. This is an electronic process. It closes automatically, locks automatically. If you have not submitted your application fully, that means you have not hit submit by this time, your application will not be accepted. We do not accept partial applications. They must be fully submitted, and you will receive a confirmation after you do that. So I beseech you, dear brother, dear sister, do not wait till the last minute to start on your applications. And do not wait, until the last minute that day to try to start submitting. Anything can, go wrong. So, I want to encourage you to do that. Applications are reviewed first by our HCD staff for completion. That's where they're checking for those threshold items. If you do not meet, or they say you upload a document and say, oh, I'll come back to that later, and that's not the right document, you have not met that threshold item, your application will be withdrawn from the process. So please make note of that. I cannot stress that enough. After this time, applications, interviews will be, start moving, through the process in terms of being reviewed by our grant committee. We do have external grant people, industry experts that will be, scoring and looking at your grant applications. During that time, they're still moving through the grant process, the grant application process. And then interviews will be held as applicable through March the 1st through March the 22nd. Each of the program areas will talk about those things a little bit more for you. And then contracts are will be going into execution July the 1st or soon thereafter. Please know that this is a tentative timeline based on a number of things. How well we move through the negotiations, the contracting process, how soon you all meet all the insurance requirements. So there are a lot of different things that impact this, as well as us knowing exactly when the fiscal budget comes out, how much our entitlements are. So I will turn it now over to Kimberly Mitchell, our administrator of our Homeless and Special Needs Department.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the clap, I appreciate it. Okay, so the first grant that I would like to talk about is called our Emergency Solutions Grant. That particular grant is a grant that we have that is exclusively for our homeless population. So as you see there, this is a way in the continuum to make sure that the people that are out there without housing are able to get housing as well as get the support and services that they need. So as you see here, who's eligible for the program? Nonprofit organizations, if you're serving the homeless population, you are eligible. And we would like for you to make sure that you've been in operations for at least a year. So why is this important? This is important because we have to be able to see your financial fitness, if you will, of your organization, and to make sure that you have the ability to continue a program in case you do not get funded without our funding. And so that's very important to us. Okay. Okay, so also these funds are a dollar match. So what that means is if you're awarded $50,000 or if you request $50,000, you have to make sure that you have $50,000 in matching funds. So what could be your matching funds? Of course, extra funding from another funding source is good. Matching in terms of in-kind services, which has a dollar value attached to it as well. So you can use that. So if you request 50, you have to have another 50 to match it, and that is a requirement. We cannot get away from that. And how do we check it? So once our compliance department goes out and looks at your books, they will look to make sure that you have those funds available in order to make sure you're matching our funds. Right? There we go. Okay, eligible activities. So you have several activities. We have the street outreach program. So for the street outreach program, you're going to hear more of this specifically when we have our breakout session. So it is just what it says. So if you are actually out there on the street serving people, trying to provide them with some food, some clothing, some sort of resources to get them off of the street. And so that's what that particular activity is for. Next one is the emergency shelter activity. That particular activity is if you have a physical shelter and you're providing shelter to the homeless population, so to help take care of some operating costs and as well as case management services. So if you have a case manager on staff that's working directly with the clients, that's what that's for as well. Also, there's some rental assistance that can be provided. Hotel, motel assistance that can be provided on that activity as well. And so if you have some people, all the shelters are full, and you're trying to get them into another facility, you can use some of those funds to help to get them into a hotel. Next activity is the homeless prevention activity. So this is the only activity where the clients are not homeless at that point, but they're about to become homeless. And so you can use this for rental and utility assistance to make sure that they do not become homeless. Next activity is rapid rehousing. It's just what it says. So if you have a client who's homeless, you want to rapidly get them back into their own home. And so how do we do that? We do that by providing rental assistance up to 12 months. You don't have to use the 12 months. You say, hey, we want to do 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, whatever that time frame is. That's quite all right. But it's rental assistance as well as utility assistance to make sure that we get them back into their own housing. The next one is HMIS. So that's our homeless management information systems. And so with these particular dollars, you're required to make sure that you report on the people that you serve. And so that is housed at Community Alliance for the Homeless, which is another nonprofit who does work on our behalf. and they're responsible for this particular system. And so they have people who can go out and train you and tell you exactly how to use the system and what you need to do to input into the system. Okay. All right, next grant we have is the Hopper Grant. So for this particular grant, this grant is exclusively for people with HIV/AIDS. And in terms of the eligibility, of course, you have to be a nonprofit organization. You have to be in business for at least a year. The clients must also meet the income guidelines as well. The average award is usually around $400,000. And of course, this is contingent upon the availability of funds. And you must make sure that these clients have decent, safe, and affordable housing. And as you see there, here are the counties. This is the only grant that we have where we serve counties outside of Shelby County. This is the only grant that, from a federal standpoint, that we have is like that. And so with this particular grant, we're responsible for several counties, as you see in Mississippi, the northern part of Mississippi, also the extra 2 counties in Tennessee, as well as 1 county, which is in West Memphis, Arkansas. So we're responsible for serving those counties as well. Okay, eligible activities. We have several that you see here, most of which are not used or not applied for, shall I say. Acquisition and rehabilitation. So if you plan on building a facility for people with HIV/AIDS, then that's an eligible activity there. New construction. Also operating costs for housing, as well as short-term supported housing, rental assistance, short-term rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. That's basically like our homeless prevention. And so the clients are already in their own housing, but they need some additional funds to make sure that they stay in their housing. And going back to the rental assistance, that's what we call tenant-based rental assistance. And so the client gets to choose where they want to live, and we're there to provide rental assistance to those clients to make sure that they stay housed. Next is permanent housing placement, housing information, resource identification, and supportive services. All right, the next particular grant that we're going to talk about today is a home funded program called on tenant-based rental assistance. This particular program is for low-income persons who are homeless and have a special need. And so that's in combination. You can't have one or the other, you have to have both. So in terms of eligibility, you have to be a nonprofit organization. You must have clients that are 6% of the low medium income, and they have to be at risk of being homelessness or have a special need. And the client must have an income to pay at least 30% of the rent, a portion of the utilities as well. So this particular program, they have to have income. What does that look like? If you have a client who cuts grass, for instance, and they get cash for whatever reason, just as long as they have a receipt that shows that they're receiving some form of income, we have to make sure that that's documented in order to qualify for the program. Because the purpose of this particular program is for them to get off of the program and get into their own housing and to be able to sustain themselves afterwards. Okay, as you see there, the eligible activities is rental assistance and utility assistance. So next we have Ms. Joyce Cox.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, let's wake up. Let's wake up. I know it's cold outside, but it needs to be warm in here. Would you not agree? All right, let's say something to us. That was not a rhetorical statement. I was looking for something. But anyway, my name is Joyce Cox. Let me advance this. Hold on. There you go. And I'm the Senior Manager of the Office of Neighborhood Engagement for the Division of Housing and Community Development. But I would be remiss if I don't introduce the experts in this grant. And that is, I'm going to ask my team to stand, Ms. Nikisha Smith, and she's the for real expert. Ms. Stephanie Hope, who is our newbie. We have 2 team members that are not here this morning. That is Mr. Sherman Robinson and Ms. Tammy Davis. Okay, the Neighborhood Partnership Grant. This grant provides funding for neighborhood service oriented programs that benefit neighborhoods. Really simple eligibility is you have to be a nonprofit. You can, business economic development, community development, and community initiatives. You must demonstrate at least 1 year of service in your community. Now, the maximum funding request is $15,000, but we've done a lot with the $15,000. I see some of our agencies that have applied for this grant before, which you all not say that you've done a lot through this program.
Yes, ma'am.
I like you. So, some of the eligible activities include workforce development, youth development, economic development, activity and support affordable housing, SBE, MBE, WBE programs, job creation, neighborhood cleanups, and capacity building. And these pictures are some of the projects that we've helped to fund in the past. And also, let me just reiterate something that Felicia already said. We have a new system. Please take advantage of the sessions that they're going to be teaching on how to use that system. Please take advantage of it. So I'm going to turn it back over to compliance. Our compliance administrator, Ms. Clarissa. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, I got them to talk. Again, my name is Clarissa Tucker. I'm the Compliance and Monitoring Administrator. If you have joined us for any of the virtual workshops, I think I may have met you, but it's good to see everyone in person. So our department is responsible for ensuring that all federal programs that are funded through our office comply with all of the rules and regulations of HUD. If you are selected and awarded, you must become equally invested in ensuring that your work and activities are completed according to HUD's rules. There are several components of the compliance department. We are a mighty team of 7, which one of our teammates is here in this tree, she'll be up in just a moment. But one of those areas is our environmental reviews. Glenn Volz is the person that handles those. The environmental reviews ensures that no impact to surrounding environments will occur due to your projects. This includes any vegetation or wildlife, impacts to the air, and even the sound. But just to note, I would assume most of your projects that you will be submitting for will not require a full environmental assessment, but we do need to look at it to ensure that there aren't any impacts. Additionally, with Section 3, Trey Fuller would be the person responsible for that aspect. Is applicable if there are any projects receiving over $200,000 in federal funding and are doing construction. It would pertain to training and employment of qualified low to moderate income workers for construction related projects. Additionally, we have Gloria Jones in our team who handles ADA and Section 504, which provides certain features for when you build construction projects to make sure that they are adaptable and have certain visibility requirements for that. As well as Mr. Michael Cox, who handles our labor standards and Davis-Bacon, also known as prevailing wages. That is applicable for construction projects that are receiving more than $2,000 for public buildings. If you are receiving or doing any residential projects, depending on what funding source you're getting your money from, it's applicable depending on the number of units. So if you're, for example, getting CDBG funding, if you're building 7 units, then that would be applicable and triggered. If you're doing home funding and you're doing more than 11 units, then that would be triggered as well. And so it just ensures that workers are, it ensures that workers are paid preset prevailing wages that are determined by HUD. Also with our affordability periods, that would depend on the amount of funding that you all are receiving. It varies anywhere from 5 to 20 years. And then with monitoring of the projects, any new organization that will be receiving funding for the first time, I can guarantee that you'll be selected for monitoring. We have a process for defining high-risk and low-risk projects. So for example, if you've been awarded before and you have any changes to your key staff or any changes to, maybe you've received findings before in previous monitorings, that will kind of bump you up to a higher risk level versus, having clean, audits every time you come. And just something to mention about the monitorings, it's not a game of gotcha. We're not going to sneak up and, look through all of your files and paperwork. We give you advance notice, at least 60 days notice through letter, so that you know exactly what we're looking for. We'll give you exhibits that we are required to search through for your organization, which include things like waiting list management, your financials, of course, how we are selecting your individuals, making sure everyone who is selected and has received assistance qualifies under 80% AMI. In addition to that, it really, like I said, is a way for us to assess how well we are doing and also how well you all are doing. If there is a commonality in any of the findings that we see, it's an opportunity for us to prepare and maybe provide more technical assistance. For example, we have found that there are a lot of hiccups with the insurance requirements, which is why we're having this added to our.
A little louder.
Oh, sorry. Which is why we're having that added to our workshop today. And so if there are any questions afterwards when we bring out concerning technical assistance or any of the monitoring information or what will be expected of you, just feel free to reach out to me. And then I am going to pass it over to Ms. Teresa.
Good morning.
Right.
I am Teresa Hudson, the compliance coordinator for the Housing and Community Development Division. It is my responsibility to verify the insurance on all contracts that come through HCD. The city requires the other party to a city contract to maintain insurance coverage against claims or judgments arising from their products or activities on behalf of the city. The insurance coverage is to be extended to protect the city, members of its board, commissions, committees, officers, agents, and employees. The city must have proof that the insurance is in effect before the contract is accepted and signed by the city. Therefore, the city will not sign a contract until insurance certificates and endorsements are received and approved, evidencing the required coverage. Each contract should include a section of insurance requirements based on the scope of services that this contract will provide. The insurance should be displayed on a current certificate of insurance, preferably less than 30 days old. The certificate of insurance should also include insurers affording coverage, which is the section that names the insurance company providing coverage. The NAC number to verify that the insurance company is licensed to do business in the state of Tennessee is required. Areas of coverage include, but are not limited to, general liability, automobile liability, which both require additional insurance endorsements. Workers' compensation is also required. Other possibilities are umbrella coverage and professional liability. The City of Memphis, its officials, agents, employees, and representatives shall be named on the certificate of insurance as additional insured and certificate holder. The certificate holder's address shall be included on your contract. If you should have any problems, the analyst that you're working with will assist you with verifying your required coverage. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarita, for that in-depth information. So again, I'm Felicia Harris. I wanted to go over the application components so you can understand each portion that we're asking for. So when you start on your application, you will first enter into the applicant profile. This is just trying to get a look at your organization overall. So we're asking for things like, organization information, the highlights about your capacity to do the work that you're going to do. We're asking questions about your general experience, and then your agency budget. Your agency budget and the program budget, those are two different things. Under the applicant profile is the agency budget, so your financials for your overall organization, okay? The second component is the application program area. This specifically is about providing narrative and budget information specific to the program in which you are requesting the funding for, okay? And so here, the program narrative will go through a litany of questions specific to the program. So make sure you pay very close attention and understand the difference and make the difference. And please do not upload your agency budget in the place of the program budget, or your program budget in the place of the agency budget. Again, these budgets are threshold items. So in the event you upload two agency budgets or two program budgets, your application will be disqualified from the process because you have not met the threshold requirements. So I wanted to make sure we hit those points hard. The agency budget overview, again, this is a threshold item. If it's not attached to your application, it will not advance for review. And add where it's requested in the profile section. This budget provides a view of your overall agency financials, your revenues, your expenses. What do you spend your money on? How do you receive your money? What other grants or donations or sponsorships you have in general for your agency, okay? And this is just a illustration of how it looks, and you'll see that there. Your program budget, again, this is another threshold item. Again, and I know y'all is sickness hearing us say, but threshold items are what? Required documents. And if you do not have those required documents, what happened? Okay, just want to make sure everybody get that. Because, we want everyone to advance to the next stage. We do not want anyone or any agency to be disqualified over just not meeting a threshold. So, and this is something that historically we've seen, and it really just hurts our feelings. I mean, deeply, deeply hurt our feelings. But we have to do that, so we want to make sure that we stress that strongly. Again, the program budget is specific to the program activities being proposed. Your staffing, utilities, travel, anything that goes into you performing or implementing, executing the program that you're applying for the funding for. Again, this is just an illustration of that. Our SCIF, our Strategic Community Investment Fund application review process is first reviewed by the staff for completion. That means the staff people that you're going to be meeting today during the breakout sessions, these are the people that are reviewing your applications initially to make sure all the threshold qualifications are met and you are eligible, your application is eligible to move on to the next step. The next step is the application review and scoring. This is done by independent external industry experts sitting around the table, looking at each and every one of your applications and discussing them and scoring them. And then you would be notified whether or not your application has been, your award has been approved or denied. The submission requirements, again, everything must be submitted online through our Neighborly portal. It is a new portal, but we feel that it's a very user-friendly portal. But because this is the first time, we strongly encourage you to participate. We can't tell you the number of calls we receive, a couple of days before, or the day before, or the day of that the application is due. At that point, you really are out of time. So really participate in these trainings. They're just going to be provided to you. Start early. Read your applications. I tell people all the time, read the guidelines thoroughly, at least 3 or 4 times to make sure you have everything together and understand everything. And then when you have to call to ask questions, whether you're calling to Ms. Johnson, our grants coordinator, who can answer specific questions about the process, or to the program people who are providing questions specific to your program, you at least have read the applications thoroughly and the guidelines thoroughly. The application will close on February the 2nd at 4 o'clock via the online submission process. I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Tanya Johnson, our grants coordinator.
Good morning. Good morning. So, quick question. How many of you used the Wise Hive portal last year to submit your grant? Raise your hands high. Okay. We are going to put that to rest. We're no longer using Wise Hive. We have a new system, the Neighborly system. As Ms. Harris mentioned earlier, it is much more user-friendly, but it's a new system. So we're going to move through the process. I'm going to talk a little bit about submitting your application and also the Neighborly portal. All right, electronic submission process. First, you're going to access the Neighborly link from the City of Memphis website under funding opportunities. Once you get into the portal, the Neighborly portal, then you're going to create an account and an email password. Unlike Wise Hive, the Neighborly system, you can add users once you start completing the application. So for example, if I started the application on behalf of ACD and Ms. Harris needs to assist me, all I have to do is go in under that portal, which I've created, and add Ms. Harris as a user with her own password, and she can go into the system and she can also complete the sections that you have advised her to. All right? Next is the program overview. We're going to very, very important, and we keep saying this, but this is important. You're going to review the program guidelines for each application. They're located on the city's website. They're located on the overview for each application, as well as the matrix of required documents. The matrix of required documents are your threshold items. Please make sure you download that as well. Very important. Every application, document that has to be uploaded to the application is listed on the matrix of required documents on the city's website, as well as in the program overview for each application. Program application, you're going to complete the program application. As you're completing the program application, you'll see to the left, you're going to move through the sections. You're going to do the agency information, you're going to upload the required documents, you're going to complete the agency budget and the program budget. Unlike last year in Neighborly, we had to upload the budget. Now we have built it into the system where you just put that information in. There's also an area where you need to, there's something not on there, you need to add another line, you're gonna use the other and move forward with that. Lastly is the save and submit. I strongly encourage you to read your applications before you submit it. Save your applications and you can have a coworker or a colleague to go in and to review the information. Because once it's submitted, it's gone. I can't bring it back. If you have time, you can start over, start a new application. Who wants to do that? So you want to take your time when uploading your information. Putting the information in is always better to have a second set of eyes on there. Oh, a second set of eyes on there. This is our new neighborly application portal. Located on the City of Memphis website under funding opportunities. There's a link that says neighborly. Once you get into this part of it, you are going to register. Okay? Once you register, you're going to put your email address in. The system is going to send you a code. You're going to put that code in, and it's going to allow you to set up a password. Please remember your passwords. Okay? I can't get your passwords back. If you call me, Ms. Johnson, I'm locked out of the system, I can't get my password. There's a section on there where you can retrieve your password, get a new password. And also with Neighborly, there are videos on the site where you can look at videos on how to register for an application, how to set up the portal. Again, this information will also be on the City of Memphis website under ACD. Okay, now this is extremely important because we have a new system, we have new training. I also have to attend the training so I can be able to navigate this system when you call me to ask questions. So did everyone receive this in the lobby when you signed up? Okay, if you have not, please get a copy of this. This is the QR codes for Neighborly, the online portal training.
The workshops are full.
They're full?
Can't register.
Okay, we'll open and we'll expand the number, so just give us to a little while
Yeah,
after this.
give us until the close of business today to go in and we will fix that section where you can go in and register for the trainings. There are 2 trainings. If you need to attend 2, attend both trainings. I'll be on both trainings. But it's highly encouraged for you to attend these trainings so you can navigate the system.
Is the first one on the 12th or the 14th?
The first one's on the 12th. My apologies, a typo. Use the QR code. Okay. And we will fix that and update it to put online. Next, just a couple of quick items to go over. Again, download and review the program guide and matrix of required documents. They're located on the City of Memphis website, ACD, as well as in the overview section of the applications. Please review these documents before you start preparing your application. Complete each section of the application and upload all required documents. What are the threshold items? Let's take a quick quiz. Everything that's on the matrix of required documents. It can be downloaded on the city's website as well as once you get into the application, the overview. Okay. You're gonna review the application before submission. Please print a copy of the application for your records. To print the application, you will see a printer icon within the overview page. Please make sure you review every section of the application. You've uploaded all the documents. If you upload a text document, make sure you go back in, delete it out, upload the correct document. So when your application is being reviewed, you have all the correct information there. Okay? Each application has a save button. You're going to save your application. Put a second set of eyes on it. Your colleague can look at it. Make sure everything is there. Once the application is submitted, it cannot be opened, cannot be changed. Please review your draft before submitting. Okay. Any quick questions regarding the application process, submitting your application? What we're gonna do first, we're gonna download the guidelines for each grant that you're applying for. We're gonna download the matrix of required documents, so you know which documents that you have to submit within the application.
Are they time sensitive
The,
on the application when you get to a certain point?
No. it's not time sensitive. You can also save your application and come back to it if you would like. All right, we're gonna go, turn it back over to Ms. Harris to finish the rest of the workshop.
I fixed the state county enrollment.
Okay, so the, you can scan the QR code now, it's fixed. Thank you, Alondra. And, okay, so, moving right along. So this is just a list of some of our past recipients from all of our grant programs. And many of them are in the room today. And so we are extremely excited about our continued partnership with all of our various recipients, because we receive the money from HUD to put out on the street for you all to be able to provide services to our constituents here in the city. And so we are forever appreciative for that. Our other funding opportunities include our Memphis Affordable Housing Trust Fund, our Neighborhood Economic Development Opportunities, which we call NEDO, our multifamily housing program / affordable rental programs, our single-family housing programs, which is our home ownership program, our home ARP, our community, coalition, excuse the typo here, community coalition program, and our neighborhood economic development opportunities, which we have twice. They are listed. And then we have our lead hazard reduction program and our weatherization programs. These are all programs that we have on a continuous basis. And, you can always visit our website, Housing Community Development, under our City of Memphis site, under our funding opportunities. The above programs, before contract opportunities, are ongoing programs for as long as the funding lasts throughout the year. You can submit applications for those, for these programs at any particular time. And in our lead hazard program and our weatherization, we work with subcontractors to provide those services throughout the city. And we have a process, and say if you if you want to apply for lead remediation on your property, or whether it's your home or whatever, or weatherization, you can go to our website and follow those specific requirements. And so we're going to open the floor now for a few general questions from our panel. If your questions are specific to the programs, the program staff will be meeting you in the breakout sessions and will answer your specific questions about the programs. But let's open the floor. Anyone has any questions about anything that we've covered so far? Yes, ma'am. If you can stand, please, so we can hear you.
Are you recommending that you attend both trainings?
Well, it's up to you. Both, we're recommending that you attend at least one. Two, if needed. Definitely, if you have more than yourself, that's the staff that's going to be submitting or helping or need to understand, definitely they can also attend. But both sessions would cover the same material. Yes, sir.
Is there a general rubric or scoring system that applicants can self-assess as they're going through their application to kind of get a sense of how strong their application is before submission?
Let me double check our guidelines. I think we do have like the general scoring there to tell you respectively for each section how much the section or the question is worth, so they give you a general idea. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Audited financial statements, do you need a professional audit, or are small organizations that haven't had an audit eligible?
We're looking for an audited financial statement. I think if, maybe a couple of program people can answer their questions a little bit better than I can.
As an organization, as a nonprofit, if you receive $750,000 or more in federal grant funds, you are required to do an audit.
and you're required to submit that, okay? If you receive less than that and you're a smaller organization, or a real small organization, the financial statement will suffice. But some people get a small single audit, you can get that done as well. But $750,000 or more, you're required to do an audit.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Yes.
Just to piggyback on financial statements, are we referring to profit and loss, balance sheet, are they specific, different nonprofits have it made, or they for the audit? Are you specific financial paperwork?
Okay, there's a collection of different things that you can submit. For one, we're looking for, if you haven't gotten an audit done, so when you get your agency revenue and expenditures budget, which you talked about, that's gonna be embedded into the application, that gives us a really good look. So your financial statement is just you stating where you are financially and putting your numbers in terms of where your money is coming from a revenue standpoint, and then also where your expenses are in terms of your financial statement. And so what we're looking at, if you're an organization that just got started last year or year before, we know that you may not have a lot of money in your organization, but we do have to see some movement financially in terms of some grants coming in or some income coming into your organization in order to run your program. Because what we don't want to do, we don't want to go in and, let's say we award the program, and the next year you apply, you don't get the funding, and all of a sudden you have to close your doors. So that's not good for you, and it's not good for us, because you all are a representation of us. You're doing work on our behalf. And so whatever you do out in the community represents us as a city and ACD. And so we just want to make sure that we're good stewards of the funding that we receive, and we want to make sure we set you up for success.
I would like to make 2 points about that, what Kim just said too. Remember I said earlier, our funding is meant to be, well, I didn't probably say this, but our funding is meant to be gap funding, meaning that we're not looking to fund 100% of your program. We're looking to help you to provide the services and programs that you are doing. That's number one. Number two, as I said earlier, this is, we have to make sure you can cash flow the program. So it may take some time to say, for example, for the contract to be executed and you're already performing services or, your services are ongoing. From the time the contract is executed to you do start the work to the time that you get reimbursed, you have to be able to keep your program going in the meanwhile. So when the grant reviewers are doing analysis of your financials, they're also looking at those things. If you can cash flow the program, if you can sustain the program over time, and how are you going to keep your program going in absence of our funding, because our funding is a competitive process. It's no guarantee that just because you're funded this year, you're going to be funded next year. So we're looking at all of those things. Okay. Other questions? Okay, so we're going to pause now for like a 5-minute break, give everyone opportunity to transition to the, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I guess more slide. Sorry, y'all.